Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the Reach Films podcast. I got my guest, Jeff Worley here. Jeff, how you doing today?
Hello. Doing good. How are you doing, man?
Another day, just living life a day at a time, as they say. We were just talking about Fast and the Furious. I was thinking a mile at a time.
Exactly. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just a nice, pleasant Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, thank you for joining me again.
A lot has always a pleasure.
A lot has transpired since the last time we spoke. You went to North Carolina. Now you're back in Alabama.
Came back to Alabama.
Life?
The whole COVID, Corona shutdown / I'm going to say / reopen, depending on where people are to how open you've gotten. Mm-hmm. Because I know your area spiked again and our area spiked again. So, it's been crazy. Traveled to North Carolina for a job, came back for that job, and then we started another job, and now I got to go back to North Carolina, but I got to finish this job first. So,
gotcha.
It's a lot of moving around.
I know, right? You're all over the place. Luckily, it's what, like 2 hours away?
So North Carolina is roughly 10 from where we are.
Oh, it's 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
From Mobile to North Carolina, it's about 10. But at the same time, it's an interesting thing that happened to us that Drew and I are going to be hopefully making bigger, better craft show moves as a business. They'll help us open up a lot of stuff. It's all good stuff.
Very cool. Well, I'm stoked for you guys. And
forgot to tell you, business side, I have to talk to you after this podcast is over.
Yeah. We'll catch up behind the scenes, but we'll do. It's great to hear things are happening, especially after this whole COVID ordeal. And there's a lot of people who, me included, who freelance wise was not working for months. I have my first freelance gig next week. And that's going to be like 5 months. That's going to be 5 months since I did my last gig. I mean, I've been doing the live streaming, but freelance work, not at all.
That's cool. This project we're doing here in Mobile. It's a healthcare thing where it's having to deal with getting people tested, and like doing temperature checks at the door and stuff like that, and then making sure everybody's safe, set, certified, and making sure people are paying attention to each other.
Yeah,
that's
a big thing on set now.
It really is. Making sure everybody's social distance. It's. You don't think about it. Like I was like, oh, that's going to be easy. But then you get all the set and all of a sudden it's like Drew and I both want to go to a camera at the same time, check out the settings. It's like, we really can't do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the kind of beauty of technology right now too, where I notice a lot of these camera companies and companies in general are kind of picking up the slack and pushing things along on the live streaming, whether it's actual live streaming or being able to wirelessly view things. It's the technology in a very short period of time has become more accessible. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, we have. And it's, trying to also figure out how to keep people offset in that way, and then like streaming, people being on set in that sense. It's everybody's having to change. We once did a shoot a long time ago that was with a reality TV show that is terrible, but we that was our first experience of having to live stream somebody into a shoot.
Oh wow.
But nowadays, you have Elgato and all these other companies making streaming things.
It's just easier than ever. It really is much
on a laptop instead of like face to face.
And I know you guys have been using StreamYard similar to where I've done for a few of the live streams where we're kind of not live streaming the show, but we're piping in and we're sending out wireless signals out to people in different areas, not even just people that are in the building. And I think that's a huge thing that StreamYard, not just StreamYards, but I think technology in general has caught up like such a short period of time, because that's not going away. It's not like we found it.
No, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
No, it definitely isn't. A lot of people that realize they can do their jobs from home are going to keep doing their jobs from home.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's a plus. I think that's a plus after COVID, when you don't have to have that client on set, but you give them a live feed so they can see everything. How beneficial is that for everybody? You don't have to drive up. You can just do it, drink a coffee, sit in your chair, be in your office and just watch the takes as they go.
Oh yeah, exactly. What makes that easier? I mean, making meetings with people has just gotten so much easier because you can do, pre-production meetings or post-production meetings without having to leave your home.
Yeah,
that's a massive plus. I've been trying to look at streaming services for grading, and that stuff costs quite a bit of money. But
it does. Yeah. It does. We looked into that too. We looked into I think if you're talking about, are you talking about like doing like a Netflix type thing or just streaming services in general?
Just streaming for like editing and grading. That building and Streambox is a fantastic version of it.
And Frame.io.
Yeah, Frame.io is a big one. That we use Frame.io all the time. We've been using that for clients for a long time. Yeah.
But you think for streaming it just doesn't have that option? I don't know if you lost me there. So for streaming, you think it doesn't have that kind of option though on Frame.io?
No, not right now. Not that I've seen with it, but I think there's potential there. They'll probably put it in, especially since it's integrated into Premiere. I think I know it's integrated into DaVinci and Avid now.
Yep.
Like when they give notes, it just goes straight to your timeline, which is amazing.
So I guess they could bring it in. It's just not there yet. Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, real quick, I want to say hey to Kevin and Samuel in the chat. Thank you guys for watching. So let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, this white elephant.
The little lizard named thing?
Yeah, the little lizard named thing. So Geoff is, if you guys do not know, Geoff is an amazing colorist in addition to being a DP, camera op, producer, and I wanted to send him footage that I got from the Komodo pretty much like the second I could get footage out of this thing. Because Geoff, you've been a RED user for a while.
We've almost 10 years. We've been in the RED game. My business partner in CRFTSHO, I've worked all the way up to a helium before. Komodo's like one of the few I've never used. I was excited to get footage from it.
And so overall, I'll talk about a little bit of I guess it's almost 2 weeks of having it. So it's not that long, but I mean, I've been shooting.
Because you have the hands-on thing. Because I have no hands-on this camera.
So what is your thoughts with just playing with the footage? And I'll kind of get into my thoughts after using it for a few weeks. Yeah,
I was telling you right before we started the show. It's an impressive camera, but it's not a overly impressive camera. It's an interesting thing to where it's new technology and it does a lot of stuff, but it's still at the end of the day, it's this is going to sound bad, but it's an R3D. It's RED footage, which if you've played with RED footage, then it's not a bad thing at all. It's adding a low level addition to their camera systems that pumps out an incredibly good and useful raw codec. Like R3Ds are they're fun to play with, as a colorist and as a DP, and especially like the IPP2 and stuff like that. It's like, you have things you can recover in certain aspects if you need to.
And I think you also mentioned earlier, and I completely agreed, this thing, it is a RED camera. It's not like this magical new thing where it's not only a brand new RED camera, but it's like revolutionary for editing, kind of like B-Raw was for the whole Blackmagic line of things. It's the R3D codec. It has ProRes. Honestly, after using ProRes, I probably won't really ever use it. But it's an R3D camera, and if you need a camera that shoots that kind of 16-bit RAW to be within the RED color science, to be within the RED family and be used with other RED cameras, this is the thing to get. It's a good option. Yeah. It can be an A camera. It's all going to be mostly a B and a C camera on most major productions. It's interesting, but at the same time, I think a lot of, and Scott Balcom. He gives Scott he gives Drew a hard time for how he pronounces his name. But he was saying, YouTubers are going to pick up this camera.
Oh yeah, they will.
I think they will, but I don't know if this is a good YouTube camera. I think it's going to be a pain to use just for if you're in a really quick turnaround time. I don't know. I don't know if the Komodo would be the camera to use it for a quick turnaround time YouTube video, unless like your channel is like you put out one video a week or something like that. I don't know. I
completely agree.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm starting to use my Blackmagic now more for YouTube videos, and because the codec is so easy, I'm taking advantage of like the ISO and the white balance in post. I don't really need that dynamic range, the extended dynamic range the RED has, just because it's a YouTube video. I'm putting it out on 4K. Most people are watching it on their phones. I think I'm getting into a tangent here, other than just saying, I've been messing with the Blackmagic and the RED, and I don't know why I would use this for YouTube. Like I did try though. I gave it the good hard try for a few videos, and I was just like, I don't know. Like I love it. I love the image quality. It's just, it took me, I think it's also because my computer isn't up to spec, but like it took me a while to kind of do the whole workflow process. And I don't know.
Cheaper computers. Yeah. Cheaper computers and older computers seem to handle B-roll a lot better than like actual raw footage,
Yep. And I think that's Blackmagic's edge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because like H.265 is great in theory for a lot of these smaller cameras, but it's such a workhorse thing for computers to have to deal with.
100%. 100%.
B-roll is somehow, some way. It's I'm like Drew. I'm not a massive Blackmagic fan. I'm not a fanboy of Blackmagic at all, but that B-roll is just looking at like a 2010 MacBook or something, being able to edit off of it. It's like, that's kind of nice little codec to have.
No, absolutely. And I think that's why that they even said with that 12K camera coming out, they were able to edit the B-raw files in 12K on older computers. But that's the benefit, it's for whatever reason, easily readable, kind of like ProRes in a way.
It is.
So if you need it, cool. You would know why you need it.
But I consider R3Ds like RE raw, which RE raw will suck up a computer. But at the same time, you're getting your 16 bits, you're getting your dynamic range, you're getting really well done log footage and great color science and stuff like that. And so there's you have the cameras that you need for filming, and then the cameras you need for YouTube.
Exactly. And this is a great camera to go shoot a movie with, and so is the Blackmagic. But it really depends on what it is. What you have to look at what you're doing. If you're a DP and you're producing and you're directing and you're in a position to where you can choose your cameras. It's not just budget; it's about workflow, and you need to pick what's best for everything.
Yep. And it's like you and I were talking about, I was telling you about the fascinating that I was kind of small, little tiny part of discussions on and using throwaway cameras, and being able to do a throwaway camera now that is 4K, 6K, you can for it, via for large budget movies when you're talking about a throwaway camera with it. But it could easily be a good BC camera. It's a great way for people to get into the RED door and into the RED family, if that's something you're truly interested in. Me and Drew became big fanatics and fans of renting everything before you try and buy something. Because it's whatever's best for the job, really. And I think it definitely puts its foot into the RED family very well. It's a solid choice that they threw out there. It's not breaking any boundaries.
No, not at all. But I also think it's what this is. The Komodo is to the RED family of cameras what the Blackmagic Pocket 4K is to the RED family of Blackmagic cameras. It's the entry. It's got a lot of the features. It meshes well with the other cameras. It has a specific use case, and it has specific use cases, and it's also really small, and it's much cheaper than all of them. So you can afford, you said, to use it as a crash cam. And so it's like the Pocket can be used as an A cam if you really want it to be. It's just
it really could.
You have to configure it. You have to configure it, and you have to know it going in. Now, one thing I'll say that, you know, it's only a thing that's happening for now. A few years from now, this won't be the case, but the only thing this has over a lot of other cameras is the global shutter, which is interesting.
Yes, it really does. Yeah, that is the one. But that and the CFast card reader really, or the CFast cards on it, are really the two main things I saw that, you know, really separates it from the other ones.
From the other Reds, yeah, absolutely. Oh, and the wireless. It's the CFast and the wireless, because the wireless, you get a wireless video feed that's not only to your phone or iPad, but you can also over the Wi-Fi network send it to a computer on the internet browser.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that'll work really good for like volumes and stuff like that, which are starting to become popular. You know, I'm starting to see a lot of people that are shooting on volumes now, you know, or LED screens. You know, I don't know if
like
all of them are necessarily, I don't know if they're all necessarily as good pixel wise as, you know, the Mandalorian set is. But
I don't think that they're nearly the budget level of the Mandalorian set.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, the Mandalorian set, wasn't it like 1.8 million or something like that?
I think so, but it's like a 180 screen setup, you know. So and then you have to have the real engine or the Unreal Engine stuff going with it. Somebody to deal with that stuff. You know, it becomes pretty expensive still, but it's an awesome technology. You know?
Yeah, and I think in a way, especially with COVID, for a lot of sci-fi films, it's going to be the future. You know, just put some practicals on set and make it look like you're in the desert, but you're really just in the studio. I mean, what's better than that? You're not even having to sit out in the heat in the middle of the desert. You know, you can have the AC blowing on top of you, and it's like,
exactly.
It's so hot out here, and it's really just they're spraying water on you, on the actors.
Exactly.
Oh my God. But it's interesting. The tech. I'm interested to see where it goes from the Mandalorian as far as how affordable it becomes. Because even when I was running the jazz club, we had some of that tech. We didn't own it. We would rent it for certain shows.
Yeah.
But I remember the resolution was 1080. And it was like if you walked up to the screen, you could see each pixel. And it's like, obviously, the resolution of these screens on the Mandalorian are much higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming they're like 6 or 8K.
Yeah, that's what I think they are.
It makes sense because that's the only way that I feel like an image like that's going to resolve so clean in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also what happens when you have Disney money. Yeah.
For real. Absolutely. So
I do feel it'll open up doors, you know, and doors to new aspects of RED at some point.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
The
Kevin
fact that they went,
the price of the Komodo is great, but the needed peripherals is a killer.
Yeah,
it can be. It can be.
It really can. I mean, it's also that's a part of RED cameras in general. I think, you know, and also it's the same as an RE Mini. You know, you still have to hit all these other peripherals to make it really shine, especially if you're going to do it as an A camera.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, half of the time people are wanting it to have, you know, there's a flash and a show to a lot of A cameras, you know, a lot of the times. So it's like you have to build it out to be a full-size rig. Yeah.
Get a screen.
Exactly.
I just bought a small HD SDI monitor just because I needed a monitor. Like, you know, it's like, by the way, I did use this top screen when I went to film the sunset the other day, but it was only out of necessity. And because out of necessity, it forced me to use it. It was actually okay. Like I could pull focus. It wasn't like super, super critical, but like I could pull focus and I could do it just from here. And I guess the whole thing was I want, because this fits into a backpack, I wanted to be able to like walk out on the beach and just have a bag and a little light tripod. I didn't want to have like a major backpack with like my cage and my rails and this and that. So I brought the cage. I brought the screen in case I needed it, the monitor, but when I got there, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to mount this and not just be unwieldy. So I just put this thing on the 70-200 I used, and I was happy to know that in a pinch, if you really have to, you could use it. That it does have a function other than controlling the camera. So that was awesome.
Yeah, it's also good if you're going to put that camera into like a really small place or something, you know, and you need to minimize the size of what you're going after. And you can put it into a corner or into like a washing machine or something.
Yeah, and then you can use the Wi-Fi app. You could use your phone. It's just I guess you don't always want to have to. Like the problem at the beach I had is the problem I've been saying a lot, where there's interference on the Wi-Fi and you have to change the channel. But there were so many people at the beach that morning. It was like it was a sunrise. It was like it was the middle of the day. So many people came out that morning. I was just like, okay, there's a lot of people here. And I was having interference right off the bat. I was just like, all right, I'm just using the screen. I'm not gonna try and mess with this thing.
I gotcha. Does it have an SDI out on the camera?
It does. It does. It has an SDI out. What I'm waiting for though is like overlays. And I know it's coming. But right now there's no SDI overlays because they're worrying about like the more important things like finishing image quality and I think lens compatibility and whatever. And at some point we'll get SDI overlays, but it would be nice to have. But it's there. And it outputs up to 4K 60, I believe.
Okay.
The SDI.
Yeah, my only concern that I saw with that camera with the Wi-Fi and all that was the latency. If you were doing a focus puller.
You could totally do it. You could totally do it. It's not that bad. It's honestly probably what I've used when you have one device hooked up and you have an optimal signal. It's about the same as using a Teradek. But again, if you try to hook up more than one device, then you start having latency issues. You start getting a slowdown. I'm assuming if you did the infrastructure mode instead of the ad hoc, with the one where you need a router to use instead of just using this as like the hub. I wonder if that may work a little bit better for multiple devices.
I bet it would, because you're taking the processing out of the camera at that point. So
I bet that would be interesting. Can you imagine you just bring a router to set and everyone hooks up with their device from at that point they need a viewing app instead of the control app, just so people can change the settings of the camera.
Exactly. It would.
Oh, I was to say the only thing is that there is if you put the camera's IP address and a little bit of code afterwards, you can look at and your laptop is hooked up to the whatever Wi-Fi network the camera's on. Yeah, you can actually view without having to use the app. So there is a way. Cool. There's just no app that's a plain view.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, and that would be interesting because then the possibility of pumping that straight into DaVinci Resolve or Smoke or something like that for a live, VFX / grading thing to it would be nice. To do it a little easier than having the stream straight from BNC or from a Teradek system.
It would be cool. I think at some point I'll mess around with it. I don't know how quick I'm going to do that. I'm actually waiting for the what's it called? That the Blackmagic just announced that the new version of their recorder mini it uses USB 3. I'm waiting for that. I did buy an SDI to HDMI converter just so I can live stream, but I mean that's like 1080. So I want to get that one so I could at least do the 4K signaling. Yeah,
that'd be nice. It seems like a pretty impressive camera, overall.
I am very happy with it. I'm very happy with it, but it's like, am I going to use it for every project I have? No. It's still I'm still going to use this like I would use a RED camera. Other than I may travel with it more because it's so small. So I may use it, bring it to more travel type gigs. But as far as like, if someone's shooting, unless they're willing to like pay for it, if someone wants like a local commercial done and they want like better than DSLR quality, Blackmagic every day. If for whatever reason they're like, we want the highest image quality and we want the RED. I'm like, of course I'll take the RED, but otherwise I'm going to reach for the Blackmagic just because I can pop that commercial out like nothing. Much quicker.
No, I get that. The workflow is a little bit longer and harder with a RED, than it is with a Blackmagic, but at the same time, and it's not terribly hard. You just have to set the time aside.
And I will tell you that I had an easier time grading it, weirdly enough.
I think
Blackmagic footage.
One of the easiest to grade, really, especially for simple grading, because we shot something in Drew's gotten to where he can do simple grading real fast. And it's nice, to be able to do that kind of stuff. I think skin tone wise, I think red's still better than blackmagic.
Agreed.
It's got a lot more room in the darks, I think, than a lot of other camera systems do. Red's always had, based on sensor, like different noise floors, that could become potentially problematic for certain people, especially when you're talking about like the A7S III coming out, at 400 something ISO, and stuff like this. Well, in a studio setting, but it's still it's the RED quality and color science is amazing. I'm interested to see what.
I was going to say. I know, right? I love that StreamYard lag.
I know, exactly. For me, I was going to say I'm really interested in what Blackmagic has with the 12K and their new color science that they have coming, because that's one of the bigger things I've been more excited about. It's a Blackmagic 12K camera, not trying to switch cameras, but they're going to release it. It's not going to be Blackmagic camera at the very beginning. But once it gets there, I'm super excited about it.
And we're going to be able to mess with Gen 5. Realistically, it's probably going to be like me using Gen 4 on the old Pocket. It's probably going to have to be one of those like you expose for Gen 4 on your camera, but in the editors you can choose Gen 5.
Yep.
But I mean,
I think that's the way it'll be. Yeah. Those kind of things get me super excited. It's like the Komodo coming out made me excited because it has the RED color science in it. It's just it's super well done.
I'm excited because I think with Gen 5 on the Blackmagic, it's better highlight roll off. And there was one other thing I remember, maybe skin tones. Was the skin tones were slightly better, and that was like the two main things that they're touting. And it's supposed to be like better on the G2. It's supposed to be better on the 6K. It's supposed to be better on the 4K. It's actually interesting with them still selling the 4K and the 6K as like new cameras that they don't do a firmware update along with the G2 to give them just Gen 5 off the bat. Which who knows? Maybe they do. I just feel like they're not going to. I feel like it's going to be a tab in your editor thing where you just switch to Gen 5 in your computer.
Yeah, I think that's what it'll be. But I mean, everybody's chasing that Alexa roll off, and have been forever, and RED came the closest to it. And I think once RED figured out their color science, they just kept it where it is. And everybody else is still tweaking here and there, try to find something better.
I agree. And I can't wait to see samples from the 12K from, regular users. I think it was supposed to ship out like a few weeks after that announcement. And I think that was
I thought it was, yeah. Philip Bloom, people like that. They'll all get that camera first, and get to see some samples from those guys.
Well, and it'll be good to see because they're experienced with Blackmagic. So, they'll be brutally honest. They'll either like it or they won't like it. I think that's kind of the way Blackmagic is right now. Blackmagic users, you either like them or you don't like them. There's really no in between.
Oh yeah. As you know, my business partner, Drew went years of saying he hated Blackmagic completely. And basically our whole entire life now is built around Blackmagic at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It is funny how that happened.
They made things easier to use. It becomes quicker adaptability, I should say, for the older people.
Well, dude, even with my 4K versus the Komodo, like some people are going to scoff at this, but the one thing I'm loving, and I'm using it right now on the 4K that I kind of wish I had, like, and maybe they'll do it at one point through the EXT port on here, but I wish I had powered XLR. Like powered XLR is huge for me because it's like if I don't have powered XLR, at the very minimum, I'm bringing one of these to every show. It's just like an extra thing I got to bring, and it's a nitpick, but especially with the live streaming and the filming EPKs and whatnot, having a powered XLR in is just like a must.
I agree.
I guess I'm back to recording externally with this. For whatever I do.
No, I get that. That is a downfall, especially when it comes to the run and gun style, like you're talking about in EPK and stuff like that. It's definitely, it's more on a bigger production kind of scale in that aspect again, where you're going to have a dedicated sound team.
I completely agree.
Just make sure you get your slates, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's going to be what it is.
That's the bigger part.
No, it's funny. The only thing they came out with all these accessories when this came out, and the only thing I got on the accessory list was the EXT to time code. That was the only thing I got. I was like, I don't really need the outrigger handle. I don't really need to power it via PTAP because it uses Canon batteries, but I do need time code because I can't use XLRs. So I guess time code it is.
Yeah, it becomes a big thing.
It's definitely big, and that's that. If it had XLR, I may have gone without it, but luckily it's just this little cord, and you put it in, and you do your time code, and then you could just, you're done. But whatever. That's why we both said, this is going to be the bigger productions. Will make sense. Smaller productions, you could use it, but there may be better options for you. Even in one of the first Komodo streams, there was this whole why get that over a Pocket 6K, and it's kind of like. Pocket 6K is a great camera. You just if you can make more money having 6 Pocket 6Ks, then do it. But it's like, you should only get it if you're going to be using it specifically for these purposes. And then it's a sick camera. It's definitely worth
it. Yep. I know that's always been my motto. You pick the gear for the actual project.
Yeah.
Not try to force it the other way.
The pro says he hopes I get more clips at Ski Rixon USA. Well, I don't know how many more I'm going to get at Ski Rixon USA, but I am doing more wakeboarding later this week. I'm going to Orlando.
Nice.
I'm going to be filming some boat wakeboarding. Pretty much all of it's going to be Komodo because it's basically just going to be a test case for this. To try and do a lot of the 5K 48 and 4K 60. Yep. So basically, the only stuff that's going to be 6K is probably going to be gimbal. But it's just going to be a big test this week. I'll be there probably Wednesday to Saturday, and then I have one commercial in Orlando, one really small one. So luckily for them, they get the Komodo because that's all I'm bringing.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, they will be more wakeboarding clips, and then Kevin says time code's the one thing that keeps him away from most cameras. It depends on what you're shooting. You don't always need time code, but if you're shooting on a production type set, you're shooting a feature, short film, anything that's using external sound, you pretty much need it. I mean, it makes things a lot harder if you don't have it. And it just adds to the time, and time is money. So you either save time and money by having it or spend time and money by not.
Have you done any drift test on the time code to see how far it drifts or if it does drift?
I have not. I'll do that. I'll do that by actually practically using it in a few weeks. But I haven't just because I don't really have any time code gear, anything that I can test it with. So it's just I haven't gone out of my way to do it, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of drift there is, or if it drifts or if it doesn't, or we'll see. But that's a good thing on my list. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's the old getting into feature film side right there, testing the drift of the cameras and all that stuff. Because and Reds. I've had Reds that drift and Reds that don't drift. It just depends.
Yeah, I'll know. I'll know. Unfortunately, by real life testing. So I'll be like, yeah, it worked out great. I'm like, nah, I drifted a lot. It is what it is.
Exactly. It'll work. Yeah.
So have you seen some of the footage from the Canon R5?
I've seen some of it. Yeah.
What do you think?
It's an interesting little camera as well. Definitely not on the same level as this camera is to me.
No.
You're going over into the GH5. I guess you could even say the pocket camera, the A7S, all of that stuff. I'm not going to throw Nikons in there because I still don't think Nikon's made a good video camera yet. Their Z series, you
get it if you're stuck with Nikon, and that's the only reason I'd get it. And no offense, Nikon. I'm sorry, guys, but
none.
if I
jumped into that, they jumped in way too late.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Honestly, at that point, they should have just stayed with nice stills cameras.
Yeah.
But whatever. If you're really, you're obsessed with Nikon and you have all Nikon lenses and you want to stay within the Nikon family, go for the the Z6.
Yes, the Z.
So it's whatever.
To accept for me, like if you're a Canon guy and you want the autofocus of a Canon and stuff like that, and it's a good upgraded version of what they already have. Yeah.
Yep.
Same with the A7S III. It's just really spec wise, I was kind of disappointed in the A7S III not going much bigger. But once reading why they did the same sensor and doing that type of stuff again, 12 megapixel sensor, and that it made sense. You're basically taking a technology you already had, but then you're expanding it and using a little bit more of the features that it can come out of it.
Yeah.
But at some point, I think Sony's going to have to jump. That's not the Venice, like their top of the line type thing. And then it's not going to be their SLR division. Somewhere in between, they have to have a nice little jump that's actually going to.
It's almost like an FS5, like a proper FS5 needs to come out.
I think so too. Somewhere around there. Yeah. And I think Sony's going to do that at some point. All these cameras are becoming so jumbled. Like the low end and the high end it's like it was way out on the sides and it keeps kind of coming more towards each other.
I agree.
What you can get out of it.
And that's the beauty of Blackmagic. I think Blackmagic kind of forced a lot of these companies to do it. And so now other companies are now almost taking the Blackmagic route. I feel like Canon almost took the Blackmagic route by coming out and saying, yeah, we got an 8K RAW camera for under $4,000. Now, was it amazing? Like, no, like the footage quality is amazing, but there's many problems. Overheating, AK, like problem number one.
Yeah, exactly. It is the biggest problem out there.
It's pushing innovation though, and I think that's why the gap is closing so much.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have cameras like that. They're good cameras, but they're going to have their faults in them. That'll get fixed on the next round or the round after. And the innovation and technology is getting there, which is an exciting time to be here. Because it makes the salty old guys that have been doing it for years think about having the like how to shoot, and gives the new guys the ability to go out and shoot without having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like,
I agree.
It's kind of making everybody stay on their toes. It's becoming about creativity again. It's not 100%. Becoming about sensors.
And what camera is going to get you the best image? Because it's like everyone always is like the secret is lighting, and it is, but the secret's everything. It's every little thing is part of the equation. The camera is part of it, but
it is.
If you don't have everything else, it becomes a much bigger, less of a problem, because your bigger problem is you don't have the lighting, and you don't have the sound, and you don't have this, and you don't have the story. So it's find everything, and the camera becomes the last option of what you need.
Yeah.
Make a great video. And I hate to sound like a preacher. I'm not going to say go make a great video with a cell phone, but you can make a great video with like a GoPro. Yeah, you can make a great video with a cell phone if you have a great story and you define it.
Yep. We get down to, even in features, you get down to like making sure the quality is a certain aspect and stuff like that. But push comes to shove, in all honesty, not trying to talk myself out of jobs for other people, but like if the story is good enough, people are going to watch it, especially after this whole, the whole shutdown and stuff like that around the world. People were stuck at home and everybody needed entertainment and wanted entertainment. So you're starting to watch stuff, like Zoom meetings are okay to people now.
Yeah. There's that.
Their kitchen table, and nobody cares. It's a visual thing that's been broken down through this.
Yeah, there's that. And there's also, I think, the kind of gigs that I think we all do a lot, which is, they're not necessarily one-man band gigs, but I think they would almost be considered not like low crew, because you're still having like 2, maybe 3 crew members and having these really, really small condensed sets. And I think that's something that we've all been doing for a while, that before may have been looked at as, well, they're small production. That's what they do. They're doing smaller end gigs, and they're a small crew and they do this. And now, because of COVID, they're looking and saying, we want the people who do the small productions, because they can give us that look but contain and basically be within these new guidelines that we need to have set with not having a lot of people on set. And they're used to that. And that's what we need right now. And so it's interesting how the tables are turning. Even one of the features I'm working on in October, that's the biggest thing. It was going to be this whole full scale thing. You know, every job department was going to be there. And now, like, even me, I'm getting paid appropriately for it, but I'm taking like 8 people's jobs. It's going to be a hectic 2 weeks, but you know, it's what we can do to be more compliant. It's not have a lot less people on set, and you know, you just make it work, and it can work. You just have to put the effort into it. And I think that's going to be huge. It's going to,
I think so.
In everywhere, LA, Atlanta, New York, Miami, all the hubs. It's going to be the big thing. And I think everyone needs to be prepared for that as well.
Oh, I 100% agree. Like, you're not going to have a camera department that has a first, second, you know, a utility, and then like interns, you know, like that type of stuff's not going to happen anymore. At least for a little while.
Yeah.
You know,
it'll come back.
Hopefully we can get back. Yeah.
But it could be 2 years. It could be.
It really could
be looking at years of this happening. And you know, even like, to give you an example, the set that I'm going to do, I'm DPing and I'm camera opping 2 different cameras, but and one camera is going to be on one of those movable remote controlled sliders that does the remote and the remote panning. It's not going to remote tilt. It's just going to remote pan, but it's going to remote pan as it moves along the slider. But I'm going to have 2 video feeds directly to from both cameras. So I know when it's recording, when it's not recording, what it's getting at times. I'll have a gaffer with me, and I'll have sound with me. And that's it. That's we also have makeup, but makeup's taking place in a different area. So we're split off. When we're recording, I'm in my own area, the director's in their own area, the producer's in their own area, the gaffer's off to the side. A lot of it is we're going to be booming the mic over. So like, even sound, once they boom everything up, they're going to be monitoring sound. They're not even going to be with the actor. So it's a lot of we're all going to be as far and socially distant as possible. So it's interesting to see how it'll go. I have no doubts that it'll work well. It's just kind of how often are we going to end up doing it after that? And like I said, I think it could be a while.
I think it could too. Like, what we're doing now is Drew and I both are doing interviews where one of us is doing the interview. The other is watching all the cameras. You know, we're doing 2 camera setups, and we're both doing the gripping and the gaffing side of it. We're doing all that stuff. And then we have a hair and makeup person that's usually in another room or something that does the hair and makeup. And then has to clean all the brushes and stuff like that. You know, there's a whole lot of steps that go into making sure sets are safe now. Yeah. That's, which by itself just means the less people that are around makes it easier to do. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: are you having a hard time wearing the masks that have gauges in them, or are you finding that's acceptable?
I'm having problems wearing a mask, period, because a mask for me is like my whole beard just goes all over the place. So mine is I've started wearing, you'll know it probably from wakeboarding and boating, the gator mask.
Gotcha.
Because I'll roll those over my head, and then some of them have filters on the front, so I'll do that. And if we go in the healthcare place, I'll actually put a mask on top of it just as extra safety. Because a lot of gator masks don't have the filter system.
Right, it's just a cloth at that point for the most part.
And you can breathe straight through it. Yeah, so I do that as an extra safety feature just in case.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, though. It also probably tightens the beard in as well.
It does.
So it's like, you're going in and you could just put a mask on real quick and
that's it. Makes it way easier for me. Yeah.
But have you, so you haven't, if you're wearing gator masks though, then I'm assuming you haven't had any issues if anyone wanted to wear a mask with gauges in it.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
We haven't so far. Yeah.
Because I wanted to do that. And the only concern that was brought up to me was if it was SAG involved, they may not want the masks with the gauges on them because it can like filter out. Like, it basically means the wearer is protected, but because there's gauges on it, like it could spit out the stuff, the particles. And they didn't give me a hard no. They were just like, we're going to have to look into it. And I was like, okay. Cause I like those gauge masks. They're very comfortable.
Yeah, they are comfortable. Yeah. Cause I was starting to worry about, not worry, but starting to think differently of some people talking about certain, like the little fabric masks that just wrap around your face. And people saying they can't breathe on them. Then I tried one and I started breathing, and the mask went in my mouth, and I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe in this thing.
Yeah, those fabric ones don't even really do anything though. They're not even
they really
masks.
don't.
It's like if you're gonna wear a mask, wear like a real mask, or just don't wear one, because those things, you're not doing anything.
No, you're really not. Yeah, so Drew usually wears surgical mask, when he's on set, because he doesn't have the big old beard like I do, and most of our crew does too.
Okay.
And then like when we're working in healthcare places, they usually, that's the mask they'll provide.
Okay.
If somebody has a mask that's not up to, I guess, their standards, they'll.
Okay.
Or if you don't have a mask, they usually just give you surgical mask.
Okay. Well, at least that's cool. So, and you guys. But you guys haven't thought about just getting your own masks, like not necessarily craft show masks, but just everyone kind of having like the regular use ones.
We do regular use surgical masks that actually you can find at Target if you're lucky. They do sell them at Target. Yeah.
And what, you can wash them? You just wash them and use them again?
Yeah, you can. We do UV boxes.
Okay.
Well, portable UV boxes, and we right now we're using these things called Pico Mics. Which are just like tie clip looking mics. They're wireless. And we throw those into a UV machine in between each interview that we do.
Okay.
And then they pull them out, so that we never touch the mics at all. And that way they can clean them in between uses. But and we usually clean our mask in between, jobs and stuff like that.
So now are you using the UV devices over just like desanitizing them every time because it's easier? You don't have to keep bringing towels with you, or is there a better reason of why you're doing the UV protection?
Is the biggest part of it. Our clients, especially like doctors and stuff that we're interviewing, don't really, they've kind of been a little off put with us cleaning the gear in front of them.
Gotcha. Okay.
They like seeing that it's like in isolation and then it's cleaned that way and then brought back out.
Gotcha.
And it's just made it easier because the first time we used Pico Mics, we were doing them with wet cleaning cloths. And we screwed up one of our mics by doing that. We think that we got it junked up and the liquid got inside and it screwed it up.
Gotcha. Okay, so that makes it easier too, because then you're not getting any liquid or anything inside of it, and you're just putting it in the UV. It disinfects, and you take it out. And so that's
bigger gear. We are, like bigger stuff. We're trying to wipe down, like tripods and tripod handles and stuff like that. And I'll wipe down the handles of our cameras and stuff like that, and I'll wipe out the outside of the BNCs. Are
you guys gloving it up, or are you just washing?
Yes. We're doing both sides. When we're on set and we're working around all that type of stuff, we usually glove up. When it's just like Drew and I at the office, we don't quite go as clean.
It broke up a little there. You said when it's just you and Drew at the office,
Oh yeah, I was saying that we basically just kind of clean the gear and our hands at the same time at that point.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, you're in your office though; you're not on set.
No, we're not on set around other people. Yeah, and then in all honesty, we're so close to each other that if one of us has it, then the other one already has it too. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. You guys are around each other enough, so you don't really have to social distance from each other. It's just other people.
No. So and we social distance around everybody else. Yeah.
Okay.
Because where we are at such a small company, employee wise, it's like if both of us get sick, then we're pretty much out of business for a while. So we're trying to be as safe as we can.
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, it's especially with you guys. In normal freelances, if one guy is out, it's done.
It makes it hard.
Yeah, but it makes it impossible. And when you guys are like 50-50, you guys split so much stuff between each other that one of you guys being out, especially if you're working on the same job, it makes things hard.
It really does. It hurts us a lot. And But
cool. Well, all right. So we got speaking of Sterling says, "Hey, Dr. Beardface or Dr. Beardface."
Yes, that is Drew's youngest. Mm-hmm. She screams it at me now. It's pretty awesome.
What, Beardface?
Yeah. We had her do it for a shoot one time, and she just hasn't stopped doing it since.
I mean, it's great. It's great. You know, when Drew used to say it, I always was like, I remember that's from something. And then he put it in a video. Yeah, he put it in some video one day with like the actual video clip. I'm like, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what
it is. We're both old Scrubs fans.
Yeah, I love Scrubs. I wish I kind of wish they didn't do that last season, and they just kind of ended
everybody does.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, why continue?
Yeah,
just ended it or made a spin-off.
That's a money grab.
Yeah, for real. It was a big money grab. Good old. Have you listened to that podcast? Real Doctors, Fake Friends, or Fake Friends, fake Doctors, Real Friends.
Yes, I think that thing's awesome. Oh, I love it. I also love the fact that it's not a PG podcast. Yeah, I feel like you get the real version of the two of them. You can tell they're like super close friends.
Mm-hmm. I figured you guys would be into it. I haven't listened to it yet, but I got to catch up because I was a massive.
Oh yeah, you should. There's some awesome stuff in it. There's a lot of side talk that goes on. But they still talk about the episodes. But there's certain people that they bring on, like Ken Jenkins, the guy who played Dr. Kelso, is fantastic on his podcast. It's like listening to a very insightful granddad sitting there with you. It's weird. And John C. Mcginley, I have a newfound respect for a man I already had a lot of respect for beforehand. But
so that good, huh?
Oh yeah, wow. It's a great podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take a look or a listen.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. John C. Mcginley, I mean, he was in so much already, but
he was.
I'm sure he's probably an interesting fellow to hear from.
He is. He's definitely an actor's actor, but he prepares in an interesting way to me.
Okay.
It's fun. You should watch it. I will tell you that there is one terribly, terribly sad episode that's about one of their friends that passed away from COVID, and it's a brutal realization and like firsthand look at COVID.
That was, I'm assuming, the guy whose friends was Zach Braff.
Yes, it's that guy.
I heard about the story. I didn't, listen to that episode. But I mean,
that story is brutal.
I'm sure. I mean, that's the whole problem with COVID. It's like for most people, you end up getting a bad cold, but problem is you just don't know if you're one of those people that, it just won't work out for you.
No, exactly.
And that's what's so scary about it. But I think at this point, people are just kind of like, be as safe as you can. And, we have to, live. We can't stop living, but at the same time, we need to be cautious because you just never know.
Yeah, you have to do both. It was weird and kind of nice to have like the sudden stop. I'm not gonna lie, for like a week, it was like, this is kind of fun. But
month two,
everybody gets bored to it. Exactly. But then money becomes an issue, and running a business becomes an issue, and all this type of stuff. And then you start getting really nervous and stressed out over it. Like everything still has to keep going. So it's just dealing with the new world.
Yeah, adapting and moving with it and making it happen for yourself. And that's what everyone's doing now. That's what we're doing. And we're, fortunately all getting back to work. So I don't want to say COVID-19 was positive by any means, but it did force a lot of us to kind of reevaluate what we were doing and try to figure out how to move forward better.
Oh, it definitely did. And it sparked a new innovation in technology, I think. But it's, out of all bad things, the only way to get out of it is to figure out a way to get out of it. And, so like it leads to innovation. It always has.
So really quick, because we're getting on an hour here.
Yeah, we are.
So Kevin Kelly says, any ideas on simplifying with less people? And I mean, there's a lot you can do to simplify with less people. Thank you for that, Kevin. it really depends on what the production is though, and whether it can afford to simplify in certain areas. If you're shooting a documentary, there like the project I'm doing in next month, there are certain, like, you can be a DP and camera op, and even camera op multiple cameras if you have the technology to assist you with that. But if you're shooting a feature that requires you to have 2 cameras rolling, there's no way that you could shoot that feature and cut out 2 camera ops and DP 2 different cameras, unless like it's going to be a really boring feature. Like it's hard. And like sound's one of the things that I think you really can't, skimp on. Maybe you don't have 2 sound guys. Maybe you have a guy monitor his own sound, whoever's operating the boom. But there's a lot of positions that you can't skip on. There's a lot. So I'm just going to go back to, it depends on what the production is. And depending on the production, there's certain areas that you can have multiple people do multiple people's jobs, but you have to be cautious that you're not doing it for the wrong production.
I have nothing else to say. That's perfectly said.
Yeah. I think that's the way. Drew says Jeff can share our COVID plan.
I kind of did with the whole taking temperatures and, making sure everybody's perfectly good and that we safe set certify everybody. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of common sense, in all honesty.
I agree.
But
I agree.
The hard part is when Drew and I both get an idea and we both jump for a camera at the same time. That's really the hardest part of ours. But and just the temperature is asking, if somebody feels bad, we will kick you off, very quickly.
That's good. I mean, that's what you got to do. But like you said, it's common sense though. It's like if someone feels bad, you're like, go home, man. Good seeing you.
It is.
Have a good day.
But at the same time, I worked a feature where I was first AC on this feature, and the other first AC, we had to force him to go to the hospital because he was coughing up blood. Like, he was just like, I'm not going to go. And so people get to where they depend on that money, and they depend on their work.
They do. And I was working on, I guess you can call it a short. And it was like a few weeks before we thought COVID was going to get bad, but we saw like things were starting in America, and there were like warning signs. And there was this one dude who kept like sneezing on people on set, and we're like, dude, just like, are you sick or something? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. He's like sneezing everywhere, and we were just like, dude, just go home if you feel. And he didn't live there. He flew in for the shoot. So it's like the only place he could have gone back to that was the hotel, but he wasn't mission critical. Like, we didn't need him there. So it was like the whole time we were like, wrong time to be sneezing on people and everything. Cause it's like, who knows, in a few weeks we could be doing a lockdown or something. And a few weeks later we did have a lockdown. So I think now I'm way more reserved. Like, if I saw that on set, you'd be going home in 2 seconds. Like, I would not be especially the dude even sneezed on me, and I was like,
exactly.
I was like, but yeah.
Yeah, because we did a feature of Drew's one time. It was called Sons of Liberty. And the first location we went to, I think every single person in that crew got sick because of like the dust and the grime and stuff that was in the building that we walked into. Like, just about everybody got sick off of it, and it just spreads through. And pretty much every feature I've been on, somebody will get sick, and then all of a sudden it spreads because nobody wants to go home.
Yep. But I get it. It's like, you don't want to lose the money every day, and you're there and you're doing the work and you're relying on it. But it's kind of like, especially now that we saw COVID, I would hope people become more considerate. You always want to have that hope that people want to think about the greater good and what they should and shouldn't be doing. And maybe it will. I don't think we're not to even say we're out of it, but I don't think we're in the new normal further enough to see what people's reactions are really going to be widespread. Because I think realistically, the past few weeks has been like the return of. It
has.
So it's like we'll see by the end of the year how well people kind of took the advice and social distancing to heart.
So. And I've already seen that there's a couple of small, indie features that are small non-union things that have been terrible. Yeah. And it's spread throughout, the crews. And I've seen, there's a couple of non-union crews that I've seen that have so far survived through it, and haven't had any problems.
Okay.
So it just depends. Yeah.
It really is hit and miss, and it's like rolling the dice, especially when you're not playing it safe. It's rolling the dice even more. So, I mean, what are you going to do? I think lesson learned is just be as safe as you can, guys. Wash
exactly. Wash your hands, wear a mask.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think we'll leave everybody on that as we hit an hour. I think we kind of touched all over the place, but that's what I love about it.
We touched all over the place. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, they're casual conversations. Jeff, it was an honor having you on the show today, man.
Oh, it's always fun to be on your show.
Mm-hmm. And Drew, we got to get you on next. We got to do a craft show reunion.
Yeah, we do.
I'll get Drew to come on the show, and then we could do like a reunion, and we can even actually I'll talk to you about this afterwards, but there was one camera test I wanted to do with this really talented filmmaker, Joshua Martin, and he came on the podcast a few weeks ago. I think it may have been a month ago. But we had a really great conversation, and we'll talk about it more afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
Kevin says he wants to stay healthy enough to be able to use his Tokina Vista. Yeah.
Nice little lenses.
Yeah. Well, regardless, stay healthy. Regardless.
Yeah,
but we'll leave you guys on that. Wash your hands, be safe, and thank you for tuning in, guys. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.